Tonight, packing 180-mile-an-hour winds, the most powerful storm of the year battering Jamaica, the latest on Hurricane Melissa and how Christians are preparing to serve in its aftermath. Plus, day 28 of the government shutdown.
It's starting to get real. You know, we just missed the paycheck, so definitely moving money around, playing money games, and you know, you can't sustain this for much longer.
Federal workers play the waiting game while nonprofits, like churches, work to fill the gaps.
It's not just, oh, that's your problem. No, it's not their problem. It's our problem.
And as Planned Parenthood locations close nationwide, pro-life leaders set their sights on a new mission. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Hurricane Melissa claiming lives and causing catastrophic destruction. Good evening from CBN's Washington News Bureau. I'm John Jessup. Well, Hurricane Melissa slammed into western Jamaica today, making landfall as a powerful Category 5 storm. With winds topping 185 miles an hour and a storm surge as high as 13 feet, it's one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record and the most powerful storm to hit the island.
What we're looking at is a protracted period of rain, which will lead to flooding, and significantly high winds that will be devastating.
The storm killed at least 7 people, 3 people in Jamaica, 3 in Haiti, and a 4th person in the Dominican Republic. Airports are shut down and tourists are riding out the storm in hotels and rental homes. Officials are urging everyone to stay indoors and hunker down until the danger passes. Well, for more on the preparations for disaster response and assistance, we have Diego Traverso, Senior Director for Operation Blessing's Global Disaster Response Team. Diego, welcome back. It's great to have you. So, Operation Blessing, of course, is a Christian humanitarian organization, part of the Christian Broadcasting Network. Can you talk about what you and your team are expecting to find on the other side of Hurricane Melissa and how you all are preparing to be a light after the storm?
Thank you, John, for having us. Yeah, we're getting ready right here. We're in Virginia Beach. We've been packing today a lot of supplies, getting our team ready. We're deployed in the Philippines, and also we are deployed in Mexico because of the floods. So we're bringing some of our international experts plus the local one from America, getting together, assembly together a small crew of 10 people that are going to be assisting in different areas like water, medical, logistic, food, and shelter too. So this is going to be quite a challenge because we don't know when the airports are going to be reopening. So we are pre-staging most of our equipment and supplies in Miami. From tomorrow, we're going to be there and waiting for the window of opportunity that we can fly in. Or we're looking also for other options like sailing there or, yeah. So God willing, He's going to show us the way to get there as soon as possible with the equipment and with the supplies. We're prepping pallets of cargo that are going to be delivered there too, with food, with water, water equipment that is going to be able to filtrate water, chlorinators that can be sanitized, can sanitize the water that is going to be polluted because of this hurricane. So, and the medical attention too. We're getting together some medicines and some first aid supplied for the people that is being affected.
You know, Diego, as I just mentioned, this is one of the strongest storms on record in the Atlantic. There's actually video circulating of a Florida meteorologist, his reaction to the barometric pressure of the storm, in which he exclaims, "Oh my Jesus Christ," live on the air. He was just so shocked. And it shows just how unparalleled the storm's strength is. So how do you determine when it's safe to go in? And what does it look like for you and the team of 10 on day 1?
Well, that's one of the challenges that we have is first how to get there. We don't know how catastrophic this is going to be, if the water is going to recede, if the airport are going to be open, and when they're going to be open. So in this point, we're just getting together, getting ready as the closest that we can to the island and praying for favor so we can get either a ride on an airplane, private one or commercial, whoever flies in first and can get us a ride basically, or we're looking for other options like sailing there too. We did it in Bahamas for Dorian. That was kind of similar, they said. We got in a boat for a couple weeks sailing on the island, assisting and helping people. In Puerto Rico, that was quite different. We were there by plane 3 days after. So we will see when and how that window of opportunity is going to open up for us.
Diego, in the final moments that we have, can you talk about ways that people can support if they want to help, if they want to minister and join you and your team in trying to provide support and relief for the folks who are affected by the storm? What can they do?
Pray for the people in Jamaica. Pray for the team of Operation Blessing. And if you can donate any amount, it will be more than welcome. We stretch the money. We take it to the next level. I just gonna tell you that we were in Mexico for 2 weeks cooking 5,000 meals daily to the people in Mexico affected by the floods. So we do know, and we've been learning over this past 15 years on this kind of work to be good stewards of the money that is provided by generous people like the ones watching the show.
Diego Traverso with Operation Blessing's Global Disaster Relief Team, thank you so much. God bless and stay safe.
God bless you. Thank you.
Well, turning overseas to President Trump's three-country tour of Asia with a major development in U.S.-Japan relations. CBN senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright joins us now. Kelly, the president and the new prime minister of Japan got along famously. What can you tell us about this agreement with Japan, and how might this relate to the president's upcoming highly anticipated meeting with China's President Xi Jinping later this week?
You know, John, all of the above that you've mentioned is just so important right now to the United States. And President Trump's trip to Asia thus far is proving to be very successful. He is expressing gratitude to Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Japan. All of these countries have agreed to fair trade deals that include supplying rare earth minerals, which is a critical sector that China currently dominates. And during his address to business leaders in Japan, the president thanked Japan's president for providing a $550 billion investment into the United States.
And we had a phenomenal day here in Japan with a momentous trade deal. We made a big, beautiful trade deal for both countries. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, I think Japan also had their best stock market day ever. So your new prime minister is doing very well.
President Trump is optimistic, John, about his upcoming meeting with China's President Xi Jinping on Thursday. Now, the two countries have agreed thus far to a framework that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and China's counterpart have structured ahead of Trump and Xi meeting face-to-face. We don't know all of the details, but the framework indicates that President Trump will temporarily suspend imposing that 100% tariff on China, and China will postpone its control of distribution of rare minerals, stop the manufacturing of fentanyl, and will start purchasing soybeans from U.S. farmers. That is very important. And the two leaders will meet in South Korea. They are expected to finalize the full agreement then.
And we will all be watching. Closer to home, the country now is entering, or has entered, day 28 of the government shutdown. Vice President J.D. Vance made a visit to the Capitol today where he spoke with Republicans. Tell us what came of that meeting, and are we any closer, Kelly, to a resolution?
Boy, John, I tell you, I really wish I had the answer to that. I'm not sure if they're close to an agreement yet on ending the government shutdown. Senate Majority Leader John Thune did tell Fox News Network earlier today that he believes they might be close. But let's get it back to the vice president who met with Senate Republicans for lunch behind closed doors. It's reported that his visit actually focused on tariffs and the U.S. trade policy. But look, the ongoing government crisis is the elephant in the room, and certainly he went there and they talked about that. The Senate, by the way, held its 13th procedural vote on the House stopgap funding measure, which actually funded the government through November 21. It's called the CR, the Continuing Resolution. But once again, the Senate failed to pass the measure because Democrats didn't step up to do that, meaning the shutdown will continue. Vice President Vance did announce the Trump administration has found a way to pay those serving in the military this Friday, but he provided no details.
Kelly, finally, the Department of Agriculture says on its webpage that the well has run dry for SNAP benefits. Those are people needing food assistance, and that means that it might affect some 42 million Americans who could go without the aid they need to purchase food. Kelly, how is the White House responding to this increased need?
Well, listen, John, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins confirmed that SNAP benefits will not be issued for November 1st. In fact, you just mentioned on the U.S. Department of Agriculture's website, the statement reads, the well has run dry for funding, and that means those 40 million plus Americans are losing their food assistance. Senior White House, but what we do know is that Brooke Rollins went on to say that because of what's going on, they can't legally provide the money because it doesn't comport with what is regulatory. Now, to a lot of people on the outside looking in, that doesn't make sense. They're saying, well, can't we do something? And that's drawing some ire from Democrats as well as some Republicans saying, this is an emergency. This is a situation where you have a contingency plan to provide funding, which is already within the authorized budget. So, John, we have to wait and see what's going to happen. Many people on the outside looking in, especially those who are hurting from all of this, are saying, where are the adults in the room? Will somebody step up and do the right thing to help alleviate the stress and the burdens on people who are losing their jobs and people who are facing the possibility of not having food?
Yeah, and meanwhile, members of Congress are still getting paid. Senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright. Kelly, thank you so much for being with us. Sure. Well, more than 500,000 federal furloughed workers will miss their first full paychecks this week due to the government shutdown. As CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Michelle London reports, many of those affected are now turning to their faith for tangible help.
The Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle is considered the mother church of Washington's Archdiocese. It serves a diverse parish of about 2,200, and lately many feel the sting of the government shutdown.
What are you sensing among your parishioners?
I'm sensing a real sense of, you might even call it fear.
Monsignor Donald Jameson, priest of St. Matthew, says his majority young adult congregation is fresh out of college, often living from paycheck to paycheck, and among the most vulnerable.
What they're sensing is that paycheck that I was expecting now isn't coming. What about my rent? What about my mortgage? Just what about just the daily expenses that I have?
They're now turning to the church, Jameson says, for more than a message of hope.
It's not their problem, it's our problem. And I think then we have to look beyond the spiritual and to see how that can be put into concrete action for their benefit.
In recent weeks, Jameson and his staff have worked vigorously to meet immediate need through grocery gift cards and financial assistance. Resume writing workshops are also scheduled as St. Matthew's joins a number of other churches around the country seeking to mend immediate needs.
We will get through, but it's going to take action, it's going to take advocacy.
Terry Lynch is the executive director of the downtown cluster of congregations, 40 area congregations, including St. Matthew's. During the shutdown, Lynch and his team send out a weekly list of aid resources, as many furloughed workers struggle to manage even their basic necessities.
Utilities, the rent check, once you're maxed out on your credit card, we don't want to see all these people maxed out on the credit card. So it's going to be a long rebuilding when the government opens because these people have had to build up a debt.
In recent weeks, houses of worship have also offered online prayer groups, in-person listening circles, as well as providing loans to help people facing this reality of uncertainty.
What we have to do is to accompany them. You know, not just say, oh, that's fine, you'll work out. No, no, no. But rather saying, I'm here, I'll walk with you, you know, throughout this, because each day will change. And I think that accompaniment is so big.
Helping people through hardship while pointing them to Jesus.
We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Is, according to Jameson, a recipe that can ultimately strengthen one's faith. Michelle London, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you, Michelle. Coming up, gunfire and explosions in Gaza. New tensions put the fragile ceasefire to the test as the search for Israel's missing hostages continues. Welcome back. The ceasefire in Gaza is on the brink tonight. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered new strikes after the IDF says its troops came under fire. The escalation coming hours after what Israel calls another violation by Hamas. The terror group claimed it returned the body of a hostage last night, but as CBN Middle East correspondent Joshua Swanson reports, forensic testing revealed that the remains belonged to a deceased hostage who'd already been returned years ago.
Israel had hoped for the return of another hostage's body. However, the Health Ministry's National Center of Forensic Medicine determined that the body is not one of the 13 who remain in Gaza, but additional remains of a hostage that's already been returned. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this constitutes a clear violation of the agreement by the terrorist organization Hamas. It's now been a week since Hamas last turned over a hostage. Netanyahu will convene a meeting today to discuss Israel's response. Meanwhile, there's evidence that the Palestinian Authority, despite promises to reform, continues its pay-to-slay policy of paying terrorists who attacked Israel. Itamar Marcus from the watchdog group Palestinian Media Watch confirmed this. Payments proceeded as usual, and recipients confirmed receiving half their monthly stipends. This comes months after European leaders praised what they believed were reforms and pledged more than $230 million in new funding to the PA. Back in September, Netanyahu told Fox News that he did not expect the Palestinian Authority to change.
Pay for slay, they pay terrorists to murder Jews, and the more Jews they murder, the more they pay. If all of that is turned on its head, there's a tremendous transformation, well, good luck. Some people will believe it happens. I don't think it's going to happen.
Turkey's President Erdogan continues his push for a role in Gaza under a proposed international stabilization force. But Israeli leaders say no way, citing Erdogan's open defense of Hamas and his support for its leaders.
Erdogan led hostile approach against Israel, so it is not reasonable for us to let their armed forces enter to Gaza Strip.
Speaking from Air Force One, with President Trump at his side, Secretary of State Marco Rubio showed continued solidarity with Israel.
Israel didn't surrender its right to self-defense. Obviously, the ceasefire is based on obligations on both sides.
Even Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE oppose Erdogan's plan, fearing it would empower instead of disarm Hamas. Joshua Swanson, CBN News, Jerusalem.
All right, up next, Planned Parenthood shutting down more than 40 locations across the country, while some critics say the impact may be minimal. Welcome back. This year, Planned Parenthood expects to close more than 40 locations across the country. However, now that women can order abortion pills online or pick them up at the drugstore, some question whether the closures will matter. CBN's Heather Sells takes a look.
Planned Parenthood's decision to shut down more than 40 clinics includes this mega site, a 78,000-foot building in Houston. For years, it was considered one of the largest abortion clinics in the Western Hemisphere. In Louisiana, Planned Parenthood plans to end all operations.
Still, pro-life leaders see little consolation, mainly because women no longer need a brick-and-mortar clinic to get an abortion. They can easily access pills online or at their neighborhood pharmacy.
They've now opened up this wild, wild west of abortion in America, where even if you live in a pro-life state, a state that has moved to make abortion a thing in the past, abortions are still happening in your state.
Kristen Hawkins, president of Students for Life of America, is leading a charge against pharmacies like Walgreens and CVS, demanding they stop dispensing the pills. One recent victory came when Costco announced it will not sell them. The bigger concern, however, is online.
We're concerned about those, and we're concerned about these mail order abortion pills. I mean, we have states like West Virginia, Kentucky that have made abortion a thing in the past, where now there's billboards being widely distributed across the state, telling women in those states where they can get illegal chemical abortion pills shipped to them.
The abortion lobby used to say that abortion is a decision between a woman and her doctor. And you may have noticed that they don't use that talking point very much anymore, because what they've done, what the Biden administration essentially did, was completely remove the doctor from the picture so that you can get these pills online without an in-person doctor visit.
The Trump administration is currently investigating the abortion pill for safety concerns. Still, pro-life activists worry the FDA's recent approval of a generic pill will make the drug even more accessible. For now, pro-life states are fighting back. Texas Governor Greg Abbott recently approved a bill allowing private citizens to sue out-of-state abortion providers. They are up against shield laws in at least 8 states that prevent states that ban abortions from suing providers in states where the procedure is legal. California lawmakers are going further with a bill to remove names from prescriptions in order to protect those who prescribe and dispense the pill.
Blue states are completely disregarding state sovereignty of red states. They're disregarding the laws and the judicial processes of red states.
Louisiana is already fighting a New York abortionist who shipped pills to the state and has sued the FDA for allowing pills to be mailed nationwide.
To ship a pill from another state is equivalent to me of shipping fentanyl or any other type drugs over here.
Pro-life leaders expect that the Supreme Court will ultimately weigh in on these disputes. For now, Hawkins, Pritchard, and others are going to college campuses, state capitals, and Congress, fighting to promote individual decisions for life and policies that encourage them. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thank you, Heather. Coming up, one family's mission to find forever homes for hundreds of furry felines. Next on Faith Nation. Finally tonight, one man's compassion for one stray cat turns into a mission to help hundreds of homeless kittens right here in the Washington, D.C. area. Abdul Rahim says he didn't grow up with cats, but his wife came across one she wanted to foster. That foster turned into an adoption, and then that turned into a passion to help other homeless felines. Abdul, right there, as you can see, and his wife began fostering 8 to 10 cats at a time in their D.C. home, sharing videos of each of their personalities on social media. Those videos have racked up millions of views and led to donations and adoptions from people all over the country. It's a project the whole family has grown to love.
It's kind of been like therapeutic in a way. I don't know, when I come home and I see kittens, it's like a stress reliever.
Well, to date, Abdul and his family have helped get this. More than 300 cats get adopted. Our show producer, Emily, loves cat, but I wonder 300 may be a little too much for her. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's Faith Nation. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.